Stepped it up.
I will call the November 20th, 2017 City Council meeting to order. Call the roll.
John Hawkins.
Here.
Matt McKinney.
Here.
Brian Miller.
Here.
Jim Talbot.
Here.
Logan Welch.
Here.
Call for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Section A, petitions, communications and requests. This is the time of the meeting that a citizen may address the council on a matter not on the agenda. Except in cases of emergency, the City Council will not take any action at this meeting, but may ask the city staff to research the matter or have the matter placed on the agenda for a future meeting. Anyone have anything for us tonight?
Oh, the only thing I know that talking to the chamber earlier today is they're looking for a site to have their tree, their usual site on the corner of Des Moines and Second Street was probably not going to be available this year, so they're looking for a site somewhere in the downtown to put it up and trying to find lights to light it up.
Yeah, I see they're asking for volunteers too on the 27th at 2. I think they're meeting to possibly put the tree up. So I know she's calling for volunteers for that day if anyone's interested.
We got the Hero Angel Tree Project. You can pick up tags at the theatre. I think it's between, or by December 1st. I think it's between 4 and 6 in the afternoon. You can pick up tags there if you.
Yep. Somebody be there every day, 4 to 6.
And then the Police Blue Project, the donations to the police department by December 16th. And I'd like to thank those who turned up to the volunteer clean-up meeting we had last Thursday. We got something started there, so hopefully we got another meeting. When was it?
December 14th at 7.
Yeah, December 14th, 7.
Where's that at, Brian?
Samson.
Anyone else? No? B, minutes and claims. The following items have been deemed to be non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council in a single motion. If a council member or a member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, it will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have item 1, minutes of November 6th, 2017. 2, resolution on payroll for period ending November 11 and paid on November 16. And item 3 is a resolution on bills and the funds list.
I move to approve 1, 2, and 3 collectively.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. C, general agenda. Tabled from 11/16 meeting, a motion to consider extending the residential completion agreement between the City of Webster City and Marty and Nathaniel Parkhill at 1503 First Street.
Good afternoon.
Marty? Oh, no, thanks. What do you got, mate?
That's the letter from the bank stating that the appraisal's back. Stuff that's been accomplished since the last time. We got the sewer in, and the water line is just about in. We're waiting on the street department to get the tap in, waiting for it to show up. And the basement is dug out.
Okay. Are you going to be pouring it this year, the basement, do you think? Or?
I would like to.
So at the time of the memo that we received, right, there was no appraisal done. Am I reading that correctly?
That's correct.
And so when did the appraisal come in?
Today.
Today.
I just got it about an hour ago.
And the bank was able to dissect that and still fit in line with financing?
I've got to come up with some. I didn't come quite as close as I wanted to, but
Who did the appraisal?
Johnson, I believe. Is that Matt Johnson out of Fort Dodge, does that sound right?
Yeah, that's right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we're debating tonight whether or not to extend, or to file or not file a municipal infraction, on,
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, I think the original deadline of November first was the first deadline to have the basement completed and the exterior of the building completed and skirted or prepared for the winter. So that, I believe, the interior work can be completed during the winter months and then final completion, later in the springtime. So obviously that deadline wasn't met, and so the extension request came in, from them to be able to extend it. I believe originally the preliminary discussions were till the end of the year. And then based off of the last council discussion or information you received, that timetable was a little fluid, and depending on one, if I remember correctly, the basement being poured and whether or not the building can be relocated in such time and be placed on the basement foundation.
And I have a couple comments on that. I drove by there yesterday, I saw you had a big, it looked like a tracked backhoe or something like that, so you got a lot of work done, you got it pretty well cleaned up on that. And have you still been working with, Elise, the building inspector?
I haven't been in to talk to her yet since the last meeting.
I was over there and did inspection for the sewer and the water, so
So you have been,
I have been to the site, yes.
okay. Well, I guess as it stands right now, I mean, we've had so many other cases, where we talk about taking it to court, and we can't even get the letter picked up at the post office. And they're making a concerted effort. I know this has been a long, drawn-out process, but I guess what I'd like to do is just continue to work with Park Hills, as long as he's continuing to keep Elise informed, so we have an idea of what's going on with the city. And I think, because that's more than we had on a lot of other houses that we dealt with. I mean, that's what I'd like to see.
What do you think your timing for this, moving the house and whatever now?
I would like to see, I was hoping to get the foundation poured here within the next couple of weeks or so. Then looking at, as far as moving it, was gonna be, probably be pushing towards the end of December, which kinda worries me about having all the staff. I know the line department has to have everybody there to be able to drop or lift lines or whatever needs to be done there. And I think they got a bunch of people on vacation around that time, so that may have to push it off. But I'd like to see it in January, maybe move it, what I was, original plan was. I got, with the appraisal being done, I gotta go through some stuff there that might kick back a little bit, but I'm hoping not to change too much.
Have you lined up, you've spoken to the house mover
Yep,
to get the job done?
yep, I've got a house mover that got planned on moving it, and I got a guy planning on doing the foundation. It sounded like he might be out next week, so.
What's the deal when it moved by?
Originally, like,
Thanksgiving?
they're gonna be out of it, I think they're gonna be out of it before Thanksgiving, but they wanted to be able to use it through Thanksgiving, they got family and stuff back. So I can actually get in there and get some stuff I need to get done after that, 1st of December. And the way it sounded, they wanna move, by spring. But
Curiosity, does the city have to take a tree down?
the city won't have to take trees down, there'll be some trimming and, there is a tree in front of the house that will have to come down, but that's all my responsibility, the contractor to do.
so really we're just missing one benchmark of the overall process, right? I mean, the deadline date, the true deadline to be an actual dwelling you're living in is May 1st of 2018. Right?
Yes.
And with some of these setbacks and the complexities that come with moving a house and setting it, and getting it ready to live in, do you feel that that deadline can still be met confidently?
Yeah, I would like to still meet that deadline, I feel I should be able to do that.
Be confident.
Yes, very confident.
I appreciate the work you've done on this already. It seems like some parts of the project are in play, almost to the point of no return in a sense. I mean, you're preparing to set up a home that you've technically bought from another location.
Yep.
Again, I'm personally okay with extending this one, because again, this is one step in a longer process that a deadline has not been met, the final deadline has not been met yet either, so. That's my thoughts, I'd like to hear the other councilman's thoughts.
What do you think? You wanna extend the time?
Yeah, I'm not against extending it. I know we didn't ask for it, but what I would like to seen is you with some evidence of contract signed and proof that, not that I don't trust your word, but if you had a piece of paper that said, so-and-so moving company's moving my house in the next couple months, that would give me a warm fuzzy feeling, along with the foundation guy. I know you wanna get it done, but it would just make me feel better about the process, so we don't end up in May coming here with some more excuses. I know it'll eventually get done, I hate pushing back these dates we put on paper that just end up meaning nothing.
So absent that documentation you're referring to, would you want, it sounds like you guys are inclined to give him the avenue cleared in May 2018. Do you want to come back to the council for an update, or do you just want the city to move forward with municipal infraction if that deadline isn't met?
My thoughts were just an extension. So, whether that be an extension to meet that deadline of May, that maybe that's a 4-month extension, I don't know. But, so that way, we're doubling down. So that way, if this one is not met and the house is not lived in, then it's 2 municipal infractions. Could we do that, right? Cause it's still in play and it's just extended, right?
You're saying extend November 1st.
Extend November 1st to May 1st. So now again, we're doubling down on you. The municipal infraction's still out there, but now it's, you know, it's much more important to get everything done by May 1st.
Is there anything from a financial perspective that you're concerned about not being able to make the project work?
I just gotta come up with some more money than I originally planned, but that's where I gotta get that figured out. It's gonna set me back just a little bit, but.
I guess from my perspective, I'm okay with leaving on May 1st or moving the date to May 1st. Essentially, we wanted the project complete by then. I'm good with that. Would like to have updates, you know, maybe January 1, did the basement get poured? Where are you at with things?
When we're talking updates, you mean like coming to the council or just updating with the lease and then she passes it on?
I don't know that it has to be with the council. It could be just with the lease if we can
Either
just
way,
get updates.
yeah, I think either way is fine.
From what I've heard, Elise and you and your dad have worked quite well together. I mean, and that's, I guess, what I consider to be a good step in the right direction. So as long as you're talking to Elise, I'm comfortable with that. Because, I mean, she would let us know if there was an issue.
I do think it's important to know May 1st, I'm not gonna be inclined to give any more extensions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I move to extend the infraction to May 1st, 2018.
I'll second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You
Thanks,
happy,
David.
mate?
There's something I have to sign tonight or anything like that, or it's just,
No?
No, I don't believe so.
okay, appreciate it.
Hey, you bet. Good luck in the house.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2 is the second reading of a proposed ordinance, an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances for the City of Webster City, 1996, by modifying section 63.13 to chapter 63 pertaining to speed regulations.
This is the second reading of the ordinance pertaining to the speed limits on Beach Street on south of Wall Street. The original ordinance was passed and adopted the other month, and so this was a scrivener's error that we're coming back to correct. If there's any specific questions I can answer regarding this?
It's just changing the wording. Have a motion?
Move to approve?
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Would you like to waive the third reading?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, again, we're just changing wording, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We've
you
already
got-
passed it.
The speed zone, so yeah, I move to waive the third reading.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
I move to pass and adopt.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 3 on the agenda is a resolution accepting and approving acquisition of property generally located at 1118 John Street, City of Webster City, Hamilton County, Iowa. Zach, did you want to talk about that one?
This is the second case this year that we've been successful in getting the court to deem the property abandoned, and then in turn, deed the property over to the city for eventual tear down. So this is the property, 1118 John Street. The first resolution you'll be passing is you still, even though the court has awarded it to the city, the council still has to accept it. So that's the first one, and then the following resolution on item number 4 is actually, we came to find out that there's actually a lot right next door to it that's actually owned by the same people. And they were willing to work with us on this one. I don't understand that, but anyway, long story short, lot 4, which is next door, they've actually given us a deed to, we have to pay the taxes on it. They haven't paid taxes in 2009, but it's a vacant lot, so it's $64 to the one. So that's what the second one is. So you'll have both, and then you'll actually own 5 land, lot 4 and lot 5.
It's a good street.
You should know that.
I drove by there this morning, just a question, and I don't know if you can do it legally. Would there be a problem? Seemed like there was a lot of metal. Let scrappers go in and haul all the metal out. I mean, that would mitigate part of the cost to the city.
Yeah, the city,
I mean,
you own all that now, so if you wanna, you guys wanna get rid of the metal, then have at it. Yeah, no, you can do anything you want with it. If you wanna fix it up and I don't know, I mean, it's burned, but.
Lives on the downstairs.
We go to council meetings, like,
just out of curiosity, maybe the chief can answer, I know you weren't here, Ken. That place burnt down 2 or 3 years ago, I believe.
yeah.
And the anecdotal story was somebody was cooking funny stuff in there, and it caught on fire. And is there any recourse, or was there any recourse to go back on that?
What do you go back on it as?
Well, the
People cooking
chef.
stuff.
Oh, I don't know,
Dope.
yeah, I don't know if anything was ever done with that or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a long time, because I looked at that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't even know when it went burnt down.
Yeah, the people that we went after actually bought it after it had burned. They
Oh,
bought
they
it,
did?
they bought, they were from Arizona, they bought it not realizing that it had burned. The pictures they saw were still a nice house.
They must buy like, they have land in Arizona too.
Yeah, yeah. So, there you go.
Jeez.
Waterfront property.
Yeah, in Arizona.
All right, call for a motion.
Move to approve.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
So I moved on item 3, right? So we need another motion.
Yes, now we have a,
I move to approve item 4.
yes.
I would second that.
So item 4 is a resolution accepting quitclaim deed on behalf of Natulich Health and Beauty Corp, an Arizona corporation conveying property in Wilson Funk and Co.'s addition to the City of Webster City, Iowa. So, have a motion. Second, Matt. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. We're the proud owner of a fixer-upper.
Not so sure it's a fixer-upper, but okay.
For the fire department.
And they were already there.
Yeah.
You don't want to have another weenie roast there or something? Item 5, a resolution transferring cash from various funds to other various funds. Cody, you better come up this one.
Peanut gallery's laughing, Cody, explain.
Clarity on that one.
We're just having a good time.
Well, these transfers are all budgeted. 3 of them are transferring from utilities, from electric, water, and sewer to the general fund. We have the general fund to the airport, and then the debt for the water and sewer, just to put it in the the reserve for the debt payments.
Okay. That,
Any questions out there?
you understand all that? Alright. Call for a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 6 is a resolution approving the official annual urban renewal report. Did you want to do this one, Daniel, or do you want?
No, thought he was gonna
Oh,
cover
that
that
day,
too.
you do that one.
Yeah.
We'll just
So
leave you
this is
there,
just- I'm
we'll leave
sorry.
you there for a while.
Okay, yeah. This is an annual urban renewal report that is due to the state December 1st of each year with council approval. And it's just giving in detail all the urban renewal areas, including the financing, like what's, you know, the money we're getting in, are we rebating it out, what's going to LMI, and so forth, so.
Anyone have any questions?
Move to approve.
Okay.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 7 is a resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund to appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financing obligations which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year. This is for Fairway. I think they're all fairly self-explanatory.
They are.
From here on,
Yeah,
we've got.
we just,
we've
with
got a
the
few of them
annual
to do, so-
appropriations, we just need to do this every year. And the amount that we are expecting them, each party to receive. And as I said, I've spelled out in the memo showing that what we've estimated throughout the last few years and what we've actually rebated. We do only rebate the amounts that they pay in. So with the rollbacks, you know, the state has done backfill on like the commercial industrial rollback. We have not been rebating that, you know, cause like for instance, Fairway didn't pay that, the state is. That is still in their fund, and we can address that, you know, later when it gets closer to their development agreement being towards the end. We have some different options, but at this point, since they're not actually paying that, the state is, you know, we can use that for other development within their renewal area.
Okay.
So and we have several, do you have any questions on any of them?
I would like to compliment you and your staff. When I opened the agenda on Friday and saw there was 264 pages, I about swallowed my beer. But anyway, I worked my way through. Do you folks work on, I mean, is that an ongoing process? I mean, when you're doing this, or do you compile all this data at one time? It just looked like there was an enormous amount of work that you folks went through that do that.
Oh, well, probably that report that we just went through was probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
So most of it, you know, is generate, I mean, I have to put in the information, but it is, the state provides the form with all the coloring, and because has a lot of colors, yeah.
Well, I do want to compliment you and your staff.
Okay, well, thank you.
It was appreciated.
All right, well, then I'm gonna sit down if you don't have any questions on.
No, I think it's pretty, anyone got questions on any of the other? Cool. All right, we'll just go through them. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Call for a motion for item 7 then.
So moved.
For the Fairway.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item 8 is a resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligation, which shall become due in the next succeeding fiscal year. And this is Webster City Financial Bank for the sewer, is it?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item 9 is a resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligation, which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for 3DK Enterprises.
What is 3DK Enterprises, I guess, I played ignorance.
That's the Shopco thing, no.
3DK is Stokes.
Stokes.
That-
Stokes has, it's got,
That's right.
there's
No,
several
Shopko's the next one.
batting cages and.
Yeah.
I can't
Oh, that's
think
on the
what
south
else
side of
on
the
there.
lake.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just didn't know, thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item 10 is resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligations, which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for Shopco.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 11 is a resolution obligating funds from the Urban Renewal Tax Revenue Fund for appropriation to the payment of annual appropriation tax increment financed obligations, which shall come due in the next succeeding fiscal year for Webster City Custom Meats.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
You're gonna be saying that in your sleep.
Motion approved. Item 12 is a council memorandum, a motion on request from the fire chief to purchase a battery-powered combination spreader cutter tool for the fire department. Chuck. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. We are looking at a battery-powered combination tool to add to our extrication tools in the fire department. One of the last extrications that we had from the time that we hit the ground on the scene to the time the patient was actually going, it was about 12 minutes. I believe that as good of a time as that was, when you think about all the work that had to be done, the vehicle was on its side, had to have the top completely taken off, and had a couple people in the vehicle to be removed, we could have been even quicker. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we're looking at a battery-powered. The amount of time that it takes to set up the hydraulic motor and the lines and the tools, they're great tools and they still work very well, but we can get started earlier and quicker with a battery-powered. To answer any question that you may have as you look at some of the information in front of you, because there is some disparity between tools. For example, the cheapest tool on there, when they sent in their bid, they did not add some of the things that were added from the Hearst tool. So there would be a few additional costs there, even on the cheapest amount tool. One of the options that it has, they come with 2 batteries, each tool does. And then some of the tools also have a 110 volt plug-in that can make it a plug-in tool as well. This tool has that. Some of the distinguishing characteristics of the Hearst tool, back in 2005, I was at an extrication event and actually used a battery-powered Hearst tool back then. They've been around and been doing it for a long time, and they also, they haven't changed, they've changed their tool, but they keep the battery the same. That's one of the biggest concerns that our group of guys that looked at the vendors, we had 5 of the top tools come out. We cut up 3 cars, was a great extrication night, but we got to use the 5 top tools. And the Hearst tool was picked as the best one for, first of all, being a 2nd generation tool, so it's not the first one they've made. They've been in the business forever. They're a very reliable company. Some more specific, it's the widest spreading tool, so it can actually open something up the most, but it can also grab the biggest component. Some of our smaller vendors that we use, as they would reach onto a fender or different parts of steel of the vehicle, it would shatter it back because it wasn't big enough. We didn't find that with the Hearst tool. It's got a couple other advantages and niceties. It had the removable tips, some of the others had that, so you can get the full length of cutting and as well as spreading. The other option that I really liked about this tool is down the road, if we felt that for whatever reason we didn't like or didn't want the battery operated tool, which isn't gonna be the case, but if it were, it can be retrofitted back to a normal powered hydraulic tool, so it has that capability as well. The other, like I said, one of the other big things that we noticed in the difference is the Hearst tool doesn't have the swivel motion that some of the others do. And as our members worked with those tools, the swivel motion wasn't something that they felt was desirable. One of them loosened when you didn't want it to loosen. Another one was very tight and difficult to operate with gloves on. So we just found that it wasn't something that we were really very desirable to have. And again, just the longevity of the Hearst tool, so.
What's the battery life on them? Do they have a suggested?
They normally say replace them about every 3 to 5 years, depending upon use. There's a, I should have this. They told me the number and I do not remember how many times you can actually charge it full or not, but it's a bunch.
Are you asking battery life as in like how many hours can the cutter work, like under one battery pack?
Under one battery pack, consistent, solid, if it was cutting something from start to finish, it would actually work for a full 13 minutes nonstop. That being said, on and off, it can work up to like 5 hours. So the battery, and we get 2 batteries. So at a full capacity, which you're never working full capacity like that, I mean, you're always stopping to maneuver, rechange, and then go back in. But at a full capacity, we would get almost 30 minutes of complete use out of the purchase, which at that point, if we don't have somebody out by then, it's probably a recovery rather than a...
Sure. I was meaning replacement through you. You answered.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You had my question, but yeah.
All right, I also had that question on it, and then the other question I have is, and this might be a dumb question, but I'm assuming you have charging capabilities on the truck, this would be on, or on the vehicle, it'll be carried in?
Yes, it comes with a charger that we'll have placed in the truck.
I mean, like, you can run it remotely, right? You have like an inverter type system on the truck?
Yes, we have a charging system on the Rescue that will be able to do that. And in addition to that, if we found that we wanted to continue to use that tool with the 110 plug-in, we can put that in also if both batteries are dead and continue service with it, so. And that's not to mention the other tools as well. One of the things that we like in the fire service is redundancy, and we like to make sure that we have a backup for the backup. And so that allows us that capability also. So.
Is this device much lighter than a hydraulic head?
No. And we were all a little surprised at that.
Yeah, you'd think it would be.
But no, it's not. There was one unit that was significantly lighter, and some of the reasons that we didn't go for it, again, kind of first generation stuff, but also sometimes heavier's, it's made out of stronger material, less things can break down, and that was kind of the agreement of everybody that they thought that, so.
Oh, very good. Thanks for digging into this, you know, I mean, if there's technology leaps that we can make in our, on your service, that's great, so thanks for doing some digging on this.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Just for everybody out there, this was part of your budget you already had available.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chuck.
how much did it cost?
We're you're doing a request for a bid, right? Like a $13,000?
Yes, we have.
Is the maximum?
Like, that one came in under budget.
The motion is to actually purchase it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 13 is a resolution authorising the mayor and city clerk to amend the salary of the city manager.
Should the city manager talk about this one?
I'm not sure. Probably not.
Well, you know,
So-
we, at our last closed session meeting, you know, we kicked this around, and we did the review of Daniel. You know, I think we all had very positive sentiments, and if they weren't, they were just some minor tweaks, but, I think what we're proposing today is a salary increase that follows suit with the rest of city staff.
Yeah.
You know, I think
So,
Daniel's done a great job digging in the, has it been a year?
yeah.
Yes. A year you've been here, you know?
It's been a year and 20 days and
Started on Halloween.
And you've already become a, you know, a familiar face around the community, which I appreciate. You know, you really get out there, and I think this is warranted.
Yeah, it's a 2% increase in case you're wondering.
I was gonna ask.
Sorry,
You
but yeah.
never-
that's
you
fine.
just gotta pull it out of you guys all the time.
No, it's, well, that's what everyone else
Oh,
got, so.
You've gotta
over
hold
the
your
years,
feet
so.
to the fire. Thank you.
You just need a motion to approve?
Yeah.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 14 is a council memorandum, a motion authorising the mayor and the city clerk to execute documents in the connection with a $1 million United States Department of Agriculture, USDA Economic Development Loan and Grant Program to Mary Ann Specialty Foods. This one's yours, Dan.
sure. Of the 246 pages in the council packet, 77 of them apply to this memo, so I'm not quite at Doty's level, but this applies to the project for the USDA Red Lake loan, the loan for Mary Ann Specialty Foods. The council included the proposal of what Mary Ann's applied for, and council originally approved the application, and the memo outlined the mayor or city manager to execute those documents, so we're kind of just bringing this back to you for ratification now that we've completed all the documents pertaining to the actual loan itself. And those include the promissory note, both for the loan executed between USDA and the city of Webster City, as well as the promissory note and subsequent documents pertaining to the city of Webster City and Mary Ann's. This is a Mary Ann's project, and they had applied as part of their expansion project out there, where they're hoping to add additional space, additional smokers, and the $1 million is only a one part of what I believe was originally budgeted a $3.4 million project. I believe, if I remember correctly, they anticipated adding, I want to say 25 jobs was what came to mind. The money is to be used for purchases and installation of equipment, which they have purchased and are working to complete the project.
I know this was a lot of work for both parties, so thanks for.
Between myself, Doty, and Zach, and many conference calls with USDA to kind of get all the paperwork squared away, and USDA has their rules and regulations in terms of what exactly they want said on the promissory note and the irrevocable letter of credit. Now, this is a pass-through loan, so the city is receiving the loan from USDA, and we in turn are going to pass that through to Mary Ann's. That's secured by an irrevocable letter of credit with specific language that the USDA lays out and reviewed by both our city attorney as well as Mary Ann's attorney, and all the documents, and part of the reason why it's taking so long to get here is working through the documents and then also getting approval from USDA before we can move forward and get to the point that we're at today.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Item 15 is to discuss changing the time for city council meetings starting in January. Just, we've got a couple of members that, or councilmen that finding it difficult to get here by 5:30. So we'd like to just put it out there and see what we think.
I mean, if it's, I can make any time work, so I mean, whatever works for everybody else, but, you know, we tried 5:15 shortly after us three were elected, right? Was it right away? We changed it
Yeah.
to 5:15 or do 7 for a while?
Well, we did 7 for a couple of weeks, I think,
Yeah,
and we
and then we
changed it,
changed it.
so.
So just, I mean, for me personally, normal 9 to 5 job, if we could do it 6:30, that would be great for me.
I don't think, you know, our original idea back when we moved it to 5:15 was hoping we'd get more people
Right.
to the meetings, and that
Yeah.
hasn't, I don't think that's really changed at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter when we have it. The original thought was making it 5:15 as soon as you left work, you just came down here and kind of rolled your work into a meeting and then go home and start your evening. It's hard to go home and then come back. I'm indifferent, so whatever works for the majority of the council, I'm fine with.
One comment I'd like to make when I saw that, I noticed we have at least 5 city staff here. And I think that impacts them more so than it does me. My schedule's very flexible since I'm retired, but, you know, I'm gonna ask a question if you don't mind. What works better for you? Coming right after work or coming back later?
We
The
work
only-
for you.
I said the only bad thing for me is I live out of town, so it wouldn't be coming back, it'd just be staying.
Yeah, that, I mean, I would just, when I saw that, I mean, like, it's Mott's next to me, but when it comes right down to it, I think of the staff, because we've got 5 here tonight, and sometimes we have more, and sometimes we have less, so I guess I'm thinking of more of a convenience for the staff than it is for me.
No, that's a good point, Jim. I didn't consider that, because one thing we have seen more of is the department heads, and everyone's made a really good, you know, effort to show and support memos and stuff like that, so that's awesome, but, yeah, that could make it difficult for you.
I guess I'd just like to see, keep it the same.
At 5:30.
Yes, is it possible for them to start later? So they could be here later, so they're not, is that an option?
Yeah, I think,
It might not be an option.
whether it's a staff that shows up at the council, or whether it's the person behind the camera manning the media room, I mean, we generally try to flex their times or be flexible with their time throughout the week if they have, worked longer than the typical 8 hours over a 5-day period. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, every city employee obviously works for the city, and so this kind of comes with the job for better or worse. So we make ourselves available to you if you need, you know, meetings. So I understand and appreciate the perspective of trying to keep staff in mind, but ultimately we also want to make sure that the purpose of this meeting is to be able to carry out, for you guys to set the policy and adopt the resolutions and measures presented before you so that we can then execute it. And so that's of no use or value to us as city staff person if it's not accommodating enough for you to be able to be here in person.
And let me ask this, and I apologize, this is personal, but does it affect anybody but you, Brian? I mean, is there some issues
It
too?
could in the future. I
Sure.
guess I'm okay with 5:30 for now, but I'd like to, I guess, reserve the opportunity to discuss changing it down the road.
If I may suggest, maybe keep it at 5:30 for now and look at it 6 months down the road and see if that is something, if your situation changes also, you know, just to look at it. I mean,
I think the reason why we were discussing is because generally the first meeting of January, we set all the meeting dates and the times and stuff, and we just thought we could just do that, but, I mean, I don't think there's an issue with.
Could change it anytime, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
Doesn't
we can,
necessarily-
We can change it at any time. Generally, we do that at the beginning
and
of the year.
we
so
can
that's
change
why we-
just
why
one
we
too, can't
discussed
we?
it now.
We can make a special, like, occasion, right? We can say, hey,
Right.
this meeting, we're meeting at 7 instead of 5:30 as normally, you know, in the normal cadence of things.
It's just then it gets kind of confusing
Sure.
for the
Sure.
For people that are coming.
citizens and the public.
Sure. I get it. And one thing I remember running into when we first got on council, when we were meeting at 7, man, if we ever had a 2-hour, 3-hour marathon meeting, I mean, it was brutal, you know, so, that's something to consider too. That's why I like having it earlier, but again, I wanna accommodate, so I'm open to anything.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, I don't care what time it is. So, I've got to be here for the day anyway. All right, I guess we'll kick it around some more, see what we're gonna do.
Sounds good.
At this stage, I suppose we'll just leave it as it is.
What about the public? Any idea, some regulars in the crowd, do you like the 5:30 time slot?
I'm retired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What about 5:45? You could almost, you know, give Brian a little bit of edge, but Maybe not quite
Give
so
him
far.
that, give him that and a free
I mean, I got
car
a
from
perfect
police.
streak, I'm not upset about it, it's one of those things to
Are
bring
you
up.
just wanting to stay home longer to watch the deer in your front yard?
You know that doesn't happen. Me being home doesn't happen very often, but I just, up until April of this year, my job was, I could do whatever I wanted. Now I'm in a pretty set schedule, so some Mondays I have trouble being here, I figured now's the time to ask.
I'll fill in for you.
You have to get the votes.
I could abstain.
Yeah, right.
Alrighty.
No problem. At this stage, we'll just leave it as it is and we'll, we can talk about it before then, before the January anyway, but I would think we'll probably leave it as it is. Right, item D is reports, recommendations of officers, boards and commissions. Following items have been deemed to be non-controversial routine actions to be approved by the council in a single motion. If a council member or a member of the audience wishes to have an item removed from this list, it will be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Item 1 is a motion to accept Planning and Zoning Commission minutes of November 13 for 2017. Item 2 is a motion to accept financial October reports, Finance Treasury Report, Bank Reconciliation Report, Investment Summary, FSB ICS Savings 791, Public Fund Account and FSB statements. Item 3 is a motion to accept the City Manager October reports on electric, wastewater, water, electric year-to-date and water year-to-date. Code enforcement is item 4, motion to accept the Police Department's October report, and item 5 is a motion to accept the Fire Department's October report. Would you like to do 1 through 5?
I'll move to approve 1 through 5 collectively.
I'll second.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion approved.
This is the first month we had 0 firework complaints.
Yes. I see that.
Streak starts today.
Logan, did you want any committee report?
Last night, the Youth Advisory Commission met. We had the new member, Anastasia, join us, so we got her up to speed right away. An exciting thing that came out of the meeting of some things they want to work on for 2018 is I want to say this wrong, but it's a frolfing tournament, frisbee golf, that's what they call it. I just call it frisbee golf, but anyway, they educated me what frolfing means, but anyway. So we have a wonderful 9-hole frisbee golf course in one of our city parks, Burr Creek, and it's becoming more and more popular with the youth. So what they want to do is encourage adults and youth to get involved with it and learn about it more and use it. And one great way to do that is holding a tournament. They're thinking sometime in June, probably shortly after school's let out, having a tournament for both adults and youth and getting people out, learning about frolfing. Again, I think that's weird to say. Frisbee golfing. So we talked about that. We spent a little time too talking about other projects we may look into 2018 on. One idea we've been kicking around for almost a year now, we just haven't executed, is a possible film festival, a youth run and a youth entries for short films, utilizing our theater. So great ideas. Anastasia is a great addition to the Youth Advisory Commission, and I look forward to what comes out of future meetings.
We had talked to you guys about working with the chamber to try to do something with the Christmas program. Is there any updates on that?
A little disappointed on that. I think the chamber saw us as volunteers, not so much of a planning help, you know. So the kids still want to help, and we'll be more than happy to help see that project through. I think we're kind of seen more of as helpers, not necessarily coordinators. And that's what really they wanted to do. They wanted to put their fingerprint on it. So.
Yeah, have more of a think tank to it.
Yeah.
Not with ideas.
And again, we kind of came to them a little late. We kind of came to them kind of in the home stretch. So we understand, but we decided just to, step back from that. And a lot of the youth are going to help anyway through the, I think there's a Honor Society group or some group that are helping anyway. And a couple of them are going to come down too and help out, I think, with the cookie decorating. But no, next year we hope to be at the table for the planning process.
Is there something we can do as a council to make her involve them, or make the chamber not her?
Yeah, I
I
don't
didn't mean
blame,
to strong arm, but I'm just saying, can we ask for her to involve that youth just to get a younger
well,
perspective?
that's
on
why
it?
I think we discussed at a high level last night that it's best to just kind of back away and just let the chamber kind of roll with it and help if they need it, but then prepare for next year. So I think our plan is, and I'm very proud of how they discussed this and they worked through this. Our plan is just to come to them next spring and just go, hey, when do you want to start planning Christmas in the city? And what can we do to be a part of that instead of coming to them in October?
Right.
And we put that on us. We don't put that on Linda or the chamber.
Do we know, thinking about what ideas they like for ahead
Yeah.
of time? So then when they go to it, they could
Yep.
suggest some things.
We'll be ready.
Yeah.
You know, I think the chamber's missed or similar to us starting to work on their budget for next year. So I don't know if some of those thoughts need to come to mind and make sure those are kind of accounted for in their budget if there's some stuff that have some costs involved for the chamber.
Yeah, I don't remember, but it hasn't been approved yet. I know the budget's gonna be approved next meeting in December. I don't remember how much we budgeted. I think it's $1,500 a year or something like that for us.
I just want to remind people that we're the senior citizens Thanksgiving potluck dinner at Fuller Hall at noon on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we have the turkey trot, starts at Fuller Hall at 9 a.m. And Small Business Saturday, of course, is November 25th from 9 to 5. I don't think we have any other.
I know John brought it up in the beginning, but we have a ton of angels this year, so please stop by and get some. I don't wanna say we had 180 angels or something like that.
Left?
No, total.
Total, 350.
Was it 3? I don't remember, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was 100 more than last year.
Yeah.
I did.
So yeah, come on down, it's a really neat thing and
Yep.
it's a fun thing to hand out on.
Yeah.
I think we hand them out December 10th or 11th.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
everybody.
Thanksgiving.
Oh, I stole your thunder. Sorry, Johnny.
No, you're all right. That's fine. We can all sign.
Yeah.
And then you can sack back. Thanks, everybody.
Second.
Yep. All those in favour say aye.
I second. We all say aye.
All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.